Tonight, and it is no less than Team WE and FPX. Team WE fighting back in Game 2, take it to 1-1. We're on our third and final game now between the two teams.
Yep. Yes, we are. And I mean, a few people would be surprised about that, the fact that WE gone to a third game going up against FPX, but it seems to be standard, par for the course, going 3 games versus LGD, now against FPX. They're making mistakes in team fights. Their laning phase, they're not taking advantage of it as teams that we've known really do just that in the league. So it's been rough for them. That being said, getting contested, it makes sense because Cool has been on his game today.
He has, and so has FPX as well. Like, this is not the same FPX we saw a long time ago, back in week 1, week 2, before Chinese New Year, before any of cross conference. Like, FPX have definitely grown as a team. And while they are operating with a new mid laner right now in the form of Cool, he's pretty seamlessly worked his way into that roster. Like, if you had said to me, yeah, Cool's been playing with the team for the last 4 weeks, you just haven't seen him, like, I'd be like, absolutely yes, he 100% has, because Cool, it just works.
Yeah, it works. Works because he's individually sound. So there's no questions on that in terms of the laning phase strength. Shie's been having it rough, or just like going even in lane, in comparison to how it's been usually where Shie is the major point of strength in the early laning phase. So not this time around. That's why onus is on the rest of the team to be able to pick up 957. Want to see him do much more than what he's been able to do recently. Though his team fighting has been strong, I want to see him rise to the occasion. As well, honestly, Mystic in Game 2 is pretty damn good. He made a few mistakes, but we got to see that style come back.
So you're looking at like the core of Team WE to really come out here and really look to shine, because I agree, because we're seeing it out from Shie as well in the mid lane. Like, he's really stepped up. Mystic has his moments, but 957, he also has his moments, but not as consistently, I would say, as the rest of the team. 957, I would also say, is kind of the guy who is a lot quieter in regular season than he is in high stakes games. Like, when we see him in playoffs, when we see him in finals, like, wow, is this even the same player? Like, the guy looks entirely different. His champion pool expands, like, he plays differently, he's more aggressive. Fizz comes out, Kled comes out, and it's like, hang on, you haven't even played all of these picks through the entire split, but now he can play them and now he's good.
Really feels like a best of 5 player, because once you see him in best of 5, he can really pull out a lot of picks, and he could force you to just ban out the GP and be like, wait a minute, I got a Fizz now, when that was a thing in the top lane. So, strong player, but right now, sticking to the WE style of being that rock.
For now, WE will ban away multiple top laners. They ban away the Camille. Java, not really a top lane anymore, but we'll go into the jungle, and Town Kench as well for the bottom lane. Rise, Galio, and Sion from FPX will be their bans.
Right back to the Xayah train. I really do want to see FPX take away the Rakan. Crisp is a sound Rakan, and I just don't want to see that combination coming out of WE. Only real question is that Rakan plus X that isn't Xayah is pretty unfortunate. I do think that Xayah works well with other supports, and Rakan makes your laning phase just weaker if you're not with the Xayah pick. So that's the only thing that I'm worried about. And I wonder if FPX, if they don't take away the Rakan, then they get really pinched in because the Tahm Kench was banned away by WE.
So Joanny will be the first pick from FPX, though, going towards Pepper. Let's see what they do on their second pick here, on their first phase of picks.
Oh, that is a cool mouse. Oh, Pepper.
Ooh, that is a cool mouse.
Yeah. Goddamn. Razor material. I'll buy that.
I don't know if it's Razor. It was just green. You can't assume it's.
I'm assuming.
You can't. Did you just assume that Peripheral's brand?
There are no other green ones just like that one.
We'll have to find out. But Azir will be the pickup for Cool in the mid lane. We get that one away from Shie as he picked it up in last game. And WE, they have the option to just simply lock in the Lovers duo right here, right now.
Yeah, it'd make a lot of sense. Celestial can pay the pick, and it just increases the strength of your bottom lane. So here we go. Lovers duo on the bottom side of the map, and they can just go... Nah, not Jarvan. Olaf would do... Okay, there we go. Yeah, Olaf would do very well with the team, and it's just a standard run-around pick. Has good skirmishes versus Sejuani as well.
Olaf into the jungle for Magic. And Magic, he's definitely had his ups and downs, and mostly downs, in this series, but we'll see if he can bounce back with the Olaf once more in this one. And FPX back over to them. Looks like they are currently hovering over to Tristana. We saw that to great effect in the last game, coming out of Mystic, knocking down those towers, but it took a while for it to scale up, but once it got there, pretty damn good. Yeah, Tristana will be the pickup for LWX.
It's like they're playing to WE's game of prioritizing that team fighter of Tristana. Usually FPX holds their AD carry pick going into the second phase and has their support pick picked out rather early on. So it's going to be now Crisp that has run of the litter, I suppose, but not going to be so good because WE should just ban out the Braum. Braum Sejuani is incredibly strong. Braum into the Rakan is an incredibly strong combination. So they've already started with the Alistar. Alistar Braum are two very good bans against the FPX lineup.
Now Cassiopeia comes in against Shea there, but there's the Alistar, as you said. Great combo. We saw it multiple times in this day alone, the Tristana-Alistar combo. Now to just jump in and lane, get a bunch of damage down, look for those engages. FPX, the final ban. So the mid laner, nor top laner, so it will be a solo lane ban.
This is really interesting. A lot of supports are just being taken off the field. I mean, we already talked about the Tahm Kench earlier on. So with these 3 mainstay bans coming through, now that I'm just making the grandiose assumption that it's going to be a Braum ban, because they are smart players.
Well, we know that FPX have just banned out Vladimir, which means that A, GameGoon doesn't want to play it, and B, didn't want 957 to have it either, because he showed it in the last game. So, and there it is. There's the Braum.
Ah, thank you. Now I need to see what FPX wants to pick up to this port. They can go a little bit deep. They can go towards the Thresh Tristana. Be a little bit awkward, but you can have the pick potential. Or they can go straight towards a Bard. Now, support's a champion pool where you can actually go very deep. Maybe even go to the mage supports, like the Karma and Janna. So going to a last pick support usually means just that. They actually want to see the full composition before they get it right into it.
You see the coach there just talking to GameGoon on his top lane pick, and they will eventually settle on the Gnar towards the top lane. Pretty good into pretty much everything that's left now in the top lane pool. I mean, Gangplank is obviously going to suffer in terms of CS, but if he can survive laning phase as Gangplank at the end of the day, yes, he suffered some nerfs. So there is an opportunity, or even a bigger opportunity now for FPX to punch that pick if it is locked in, and WE will punch it in.
Yeah, wasting both the 60 seconds. They're just discussing the 2 lineups, the 2 picks for themselves. 957's played a lot of GP. Gotta wonder what the mid lane pick is going to be going up against the Azir. Yes, it's a great pickup into the Azir. He can also go towards Kassadin. He's known for both of those picks. Oh, come on now. Okay, Taliyah is
play with our hearts like that?
Taliyah is just generally better of a mid laner, allowing them to go towards the bottom lane focus. Now, I was thinking Leona. I think Leona works. The only problem is bottom lane is so safe from Xayah Rakan that it's really hard to find yourself landing real damage. So ulti on Leona has a channel time, or at least it just has a time in which it finally lands. Rakan's going to get out of it pretty quickly. Same with the Xayah if she uses her ulti. So I think it's a very risky pick to go towards the Leona. It's fine within the laning phase, but especially once you get out of it, it's just going to be really rough.
Definitely risky, but FPX, at their core, they like a little bit of risk. And it will be in the bottom lane this time with that Leona and the Tristana and a Gnar, which is less weird than I was expecting from GameGoon. And it was definitely makes more sense. So the GameGoon will pick up the Gnar into the top lane against that Gangplank. So we're back to the old meta. We're pre-8.4, we're back.
Yeah, and I think that FPX has really started to care more about their laning phase, which is funny to say. GameGoon now in the blind pick Gnar, which we would have expected him to do weeks ago. But now he's picked it up because he's starting to have great lanes. He's not falling behind like we used to see. It's like right now, the team of FPX can actually play through his top lane leads, his top lane picks. So he's feeling confident with it.
I will say at a certain point, it may have just been the product of top side of the map not being able to play together, because we had that criticism in the early weeks of the LPL. It's like, it doesn't seem like Pepper's really able to interact with GameGoon whatsoever. So it makes sense. He's like, well, I'm just gonna have a bad laning phase and then turn up in the mid game, right? But then it wasn't a mid game because there was nowhere in the game.
That's fair. I think that's true to a certain extent, because once you play up against teams that have such strong synergy like Suning Gaming, it's never just a 2v2. It's never just a 2v1. A lot of it does come down to a domino effect of bringing in your mid laner as well.
Yeah.
So even though, yeah, sure, Pepper, there were instances where he was making poor decisions and it was a 2v2 gap, they've closed that gap, but still had problems in bringing in a 3v1 or 3v2. So now their 3v3 should be much better now that Cool is in the mix.
And it feels like that's why it's the right time to bring out the Gnar, you know, like now they can actually execute on this, maybe they can punish the Gangplank. They also know that Magic is a weakness currently on WE. They've even exploited it themselves in this series. So if there's any time for the top lane to shine, it would be right now in our third and final game of the night between FPX and Team WE. Very important game for both of these two teams. FPX really love this one against one of the teams that are in contention for that fourth spot coming into playoffs. The other one being BLG. They can get in there now and get those head-to-heads.
Yeah, setting the pace.
Fantastic.
Really early on. Get the hell out of here, cool, with your 20 loss of HP. He does it. Pretty sure if he just stayed on the map, he would have enough.
He
HP.
absolutely would.
Yeah, 100%. 36 games played, most of LPL.
Thank you, Emoji.
Literally, you've played so many best of threes to the end. You have the most games played. Congratulations.
I assume that's a split, which makes sense.
Yep.
We
Legitimately.
definitely haven't played 36 games in the entirety of the LPL.
Oh, no, no. Literally just means that they've gone through every single game.
Lots of, 3-game sets.
Yeah. At least it gives you on-stage experience, which a lot of regions definitely crave. They want the on-stage experience in WE. For better or for worse, they've been getting them.
That's actually crazy to think about. 36 games since the start of the split. We're in week 8 now. We just started week 8. It's a lot of games.
It's a lot of games.
A lot of games. Well, it's also good because, Magic's actually farming 2 camps at the same time. You can do, random fact, you can do this with Fiddlesticks. If you drag both of the camps together, and because you do extra damage to both of them, you can just get the bounces on Dark Wind.
Why do you know all of the bad chants?
I'm just saying it's a trick you can use for all of those one Fiddlesticks players out there.
There we go. But yeah, I love this from Olaf. It's been the usual. If he wants to start topside, take 2 camps, find himself low so his next few camps are a lot faster. Or if he's on the bottom side of the map, take Raptors so you're low enough because they beat you down. And then go towards your red buff and then go elsewhere. So it's a good clear and also rushes and forces the enemy jungle to try and keep up. Sejuani went red buff, ditched out the Raptor camp. Sure, you're taking Gromp, but you're ultimately still going to be behind because in the path of destruction that is Olaf is still Krug camp. So
yeah,
Olaf can either take red buff into Skullcraft or can just go straight towards the Krugs, which is a faster go-to.
This time, he will path towards this red buff here as he takes it. You can also see the runes from Leona. There is no reason to go anything other than Aftershock in 8.4. Aftershock Leona is the dirtiest thing that I've seen in a long time. Engage, get a bunch of stats, don't die, do a bunch of damage.
I hate Aftershock, but better than seeing press the attack, which tilts me beyond belief.
True. Is the lesser of 2 evils, for certain. Pep just spotted out in the mid lane. And Olaf probably actually going to clear out a bunch of these wards in river. Yeah, he just spotted 2 of that Scry's Bloom, so it's payday for Magic.
Nice. It's good for him. Still has Krugs behind him. I wonder how much he's going to invest by going towards it, because he could either go for a gank mid lane, defend the bottom side of the map, but the issue is that he knows that Skullcrab is up, so he's just going to go for the clear. Question mark pings are going down in the red side jungle of FPX just because they know that Pepper is in that area. No reason for him to stick towards bottom lane unless he's incredibly cheesy and he's trying to go for a bottom lane gank, which is very unlikely.
And right now he's actually on just the Krugs here. We'll see if he moves towards this top lane. Tries to put some hurt down onto this GP. But for now, it's pretty much just equaling out. And Gangplank obviously got nerfed on 8.4, so we've been seeing less and less of him in the top lane. Last time we saw Gangplank, we saw a Sapphire Crystal start, which was an interesting one. Went straight into Sheen and then realized he had no tanky stats and died very quickly. So this time we'll actually see the Ancient Coin going back to the kind of 8.3 meta.
Funny enough, if you get Sheen early enough in a lot of these lanes, if they're just purely isolated lanes, depends on the matchup obviously. Sheen's the best you can get in the top lane for GP. Just ranged poke, you just essentially turn into a ranged champion. A lot of times you're not going to be utilizing your passive too much just because of how many Sheen procs you can get out there. It's a lot of damage underneath you. So I can understand that, but yeah, I can see the gold pretend.
Crisp getting the lockup right here. LPX jumping forwards as well. Mystic backing away. Nice Blade Caller comes in, but doesn't get the root down onto anybody, but it is the counter play out from WE, and they don't get killed, and they also probably won that trade.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. The fact that Pepper wasted the time to go bottom lane, and their lane is probably even further behind than it was before he came. I think he actually just outright loses Raptors. Depends on if Olaf got a timing on the Sejuani's Raptor camp take. I don't think he's confident enough to walk over. But that just means that Pepper's gonna have to watch out because he's getting routed.
He absolutely is, because take a look at Xie. He's also blocking off that route, placing a ward over the wall onto Wolves, so they'll have absolute vision of where FPX's jungler will be in the next couple seconds.
Yeah, and that's what's rough when you're going up against such a fast-clearing jungler of an Olaf, is that if you ever turn out to be the ganking jungler, he just immediately thinks about what camps you'll have up, how to force you away from those camps. He's taking Raptors for himself, and if he gets the opportunity with the pushing lane that Talia has to get a ward deep into that pit, Raptor pit, then he can contest it.
There we go. We see the initial push out from the Na'V, but he's not really put the gangplank behind in this 1 versus 1, and there also is no pressure coming up from Pepper because of the aforementioned reasons. He's basically being tracked all the way through his jungle, so for the most part, 957 will be having a pretty great laning phase for himself. Be able to go even on gold, plus the Kleptomancy, plus everything coming in from the Ancient Coin. Gonna be rolling in it.
Ooh. Pepper is the human ward here. Control ward catches, or would catch out Sejuani, but he's able to see Talia in rotation.
Bit of a trade from bot side. And Olaf was on his way there, so he's now pushing into the jungle, again tracking Pepper, who's now only moving into his top side. But Magic deciding to stick around because Infernal Dragon is up. First one of the game, 6 minutes in. Bot lane is pushing in, but Crisp, great timing, is going to spot out Magic, so interrupts the sneak, and Pepper goes immediately back down to the bottom side.
A really good call coming in from Crisp. You can do that really early on as Olaf. Level 3, level 4. So easy for you, just because there's the aforementioned sustain that you get.
Gimgoon found 957 underneath the tower, but had enough mana for oranges, so the gangplank will survive and live another day. But that was close.
Yep, close, scary, a lot of things. 957 getting himself out of that situation without having used his flash is great.
Yep, Gimgoon harasses him out of lane. 957 probably going to be using teleport here as another minion wave will be crashing. Indeed he does. And Pepper will get the opportunity to go into the top side and get his Raptors uncontested from any scary barbarians who happen to walk on by. So good stuff, and that really just came off of that play from Chris, you know, identifying that I haven't seen Olaf in a while. He's probably on Dragon, and then went over, warded them out, and then stopped the Dragon, allows Pepper to go into his jungle.
A good defensive play to really allow Pepper to get to his level 6 mark without getting really contested too heavily. So now he's going to be able to get these ganks off really easily, just utilizing his ulti. He's honestly pick of the litter. You can go mid lane for an Azir sec into Sejuani ulti. You can go bottom lane with the Leona. Top lane just to get the dive on GP. It's on WE to get any bit of vision onto Sejuani so they can stop these from happening and get a good counter game.
And they had it to start with, so I know they can do it again. It's just a matter of actually doing it from here on out. No kills in this game so far, but we've had a lot of mind games, a lot of tracking. Proactive tracking from both teams. Cool placing another ward over the wall. So again, exactly what we were talking about. W trying to find that location of Pepper.
What's important here is the fact that Azir's going to take some time before he gets his own blue. Sejuani's going to dart straight towards it. I wonder if Cool is ever going to get an opportunity to get the blue buff without getting fully contested in his lane. That's the difference of if Cool goes to get his blue, if CA's already in position for a dive towards the top lane, then they just lose out. That's time that he's wasting for himself. Thankfully, Magic has taken his own red buff, so there we go.
So it's fine.
Yeah,
Don't even worry about it. Yeah, so time to transfer this one over to Cool in mid lane. And in terms of farm, the whole board is pretty much the same. There's a small advantage in terms of Olaf versus Sejuani, but...
Oh, no. Oh, thank God.
It's okay, it's fine.
Yeah, it's okay.
Sometimes we focus in on players farming underneath their turret and they miss everything. And it just feels bad, and then we leave them, and then that's the only image that burns in our minds.
Oh, feels good. Uh-oh. They're level 6, too.
Oh, indeed. Celestial pops the ultimate, quickness comes in, double charm, double knock-up, Pepper into the bottom lane. He's also got Cool Whipper, but LWX puts him over the wall, back into the play, as he already dies in the auto-attack animation. Mystic soon to follow, both AD carries traded, but they also get a second on the fall of Crisp. Cool, following down onto Celestial, looking for the last couple auto-attacks, and Gimgoon, he's trading off with someone in the pit. I can't even see who it is. It's actually Xie.
I didn't see that either.
That's 2-for-2 trade.
Yes, it was. And it started with WE trying to get on there. Oh, wait a second.
Flash comes through. Cool looking for this one. Sweep to my side. The Emperor of Shurima. The Sand Soldiers come in and get the kill.
Right under the carpet. Finds him just laying out there in the mid lane. It was dirty.
And FPX will get the Infernal Dragon off that as well. So it looked like that was all it was going to be. It was going to be a 2-for-2 trade, but in the end, FPX pick another kill on top of that and an Inferno Dragon.
That was really good to just even it up, give them a little bit more, because this was LWX in a really bad position. WWE had him outflanked. Celestial played this one out well to just get that cheeky ignite, and then boom, get stunned down, get obliterated. Mystic wasn't going to get it. And this is when the rest of WE, okay, they're just going to call it quits. They got traded, but Cool makes it worth their while. That he was able to not only even it out, but find Xie sitting right in the mid lane, and he still had ulti, so of course Cool is going to use it to get the burst.
Yeah, flash and ultimate at that, so was able to clear a lot of distance with the shifting sands, gets the kill, and Dragon was set up, and the bottom lane is now being pushed in.
And he knew the damage that his ulti was going to output, so he even weaved in an auto attack as he flashed in, just so he knew that that ulti would be in kill range. Otherwise, he sweeps him away, and that's just sad.
And then he just runs away on like 5 HP. Yeah. Mechanics on point from Cool. However, the first tower of the game will go over to WE, so that is a big benefit to them. On the opposite side, FPX choose to actually move their bottom lane to top lane after that play is what they did. LWX and Chris moved to the top lane so they would have pressure on top of the Herald here, and they will try and use this to get even more than the first tower of the game from WE.
It's going to be on Pepper too. I think you should just utilize it towards... It's a tough one. They are losing a lot of mid lane, or at least a lot of towers, just that one in the bottom lane. So I'd say they should use it top lane. Use it wherever Tristana goes. If Tristana gets herself a static shiv, which she's basing right now, actually she invested in boots, she shouldn't have enough gold for the static shiv.
Yeah, it would just be Zeal.
That's unfortunate. That could have been a lot better for the side of FPX to have a static shiv advantage in the bottom side of the map, or at least for their dual lane, then have that static, just pile up on the static shiv 80 carry with the Rift Herald, and that should be one tower and then some, but not going to happen here. They should still use the 80 carry. I think that's still a fine idea.
That's definitely the hope, but WE just kind of go for the solid play, which is we will get first tower. It's gold in our pockets right now. It's not any type of risk whatsoever, so it's going to be nice for them. Puts them ahead in terms of gold, around 2,500 gold right now. And FPX, we are just waiting for them to try and make a play with Herald, because if they get a pick and they turn it into a Herald push, then obviously can turn it into it a lot more, because they are looking towards the bottom lane right now. That is the plan.
And Magic is nowhere to be seen. He's actually just passing towards topside, so there's no way for WE to respond in the top side of the map.
957 has the idea to clear out the minion wave, but right now it's 1 versus 3 underneath the tower. He flashes away, and Cool chasing after with the auto attack. Doesn't even need the Sand Soldiers. And that will be a kill over to FPX, plus the Herald going down.
They're going to be much faster in pace, just because the bottom lane wave is crashing. And finally, Magic, who was at base at the time, has reached the play. So good call from FPX. Their dual lane backs away entirely and are now underneath the inner tower. So it's essentially just comes down to a kill and a tower trade. No kills on the side of WE, but a tower trade nonetheless.
They had members around the top side, but Magic is also contesting the red buff right here. Chris was able to walk up and at least spot this one out.
Oh, don't do that.
Eclipse comes down, but he's by himself. Celestial has the pick in his eyes. Mystic comes down as well, and Pepper turns up to the play. It's a 3 versus 3 now with the teleports coming through. WE want the disengage. Ooh! Lands the Emperor's Divide, and that'll be the kill. Reset time. Pop at the wall. See you later, LWX. But 957, wait, how did he get there?
He's a fast one. But that was real good from FPX. Actually, I was questioning the positioning of Chris to begin with, because he started off the fight, but he had confidence that his team will be able to collapse immediately off of that one. So ultimately, holding down the fort.
Xie moving into the bottom lane, but he also has Magic behind him. Gimgoon is on the run. He thought a second about to turn this one around, but flashes over the wall, and there's Magic. And Xie finds the damage, finds the finish up onto the pesky Gnar.
Yeah, I didn't want to take any chances, so he flashed himself to get the kill. Good choice, just because Gimgoon did create space with him and Magic. So just to get a check onto this one, it was a GP teleport. Wonder when he decided to teleport, because it was initially a pick on towards the support here, and then it turns into an all-in. This is where I want to see where the teleport is. The teleport is right in the middle of the cast. So the moment FPX completely controlled the area, it was a really bad call for GP to remain in the area. He actually should have canceled it off the moment Azir showed up and utilized his ulti.
decides to complete, and then was completely by himself split from the team, or split from the team. So he'll go down. 50 minutes into this one, and FPX did manage to pick up a tower in the top side as that replay was running. So they are now equal in terms of towers. Are looking onto the play to Mystic and Celestial since they are by themselves. Comes in with the quickness, but he is already dead. And FPX, I mean, they just catch Mystic overextending for farm.
Yeah, it's been happening time and time again. 0 and 3 at this point in time. Mystic's probably just scratching his head trying to figure out how low of a cooldown Cool's ulti is. Because he's just been utilizing it time and time again, not to separate people, to get kills.
Yep. Every single time. And it is a relatively short cooldown once you start getting that cooldown reduction, but yeah, it's every single time. Every single time Mystic turns up to a fight, he just gets hit in the face by 5 soldiers. And it's like, why? Every single time.
Every damn time.
We're now 2-2 in terms of towers and a bunch of kills over to FPX, so there's only a small advantage now to WE in their gold values, but it's more about what are we doing in terms of control, how are we doing? So Dragon spawning in around 5 seconds from now, and FPX are around the area. It doesn't seem like WE will be able to contest this one.
Just taking a look at the gold values here. Ultimately, a lot of the gold value coming out of WE is in the GP, who has the Klepto proc coming for him, and as well as the Rakan. So Rakan, GP, doing quite well for themselves in the gold department, but starkly ahead the actual carries, specifically Cool, is leading the charge for FPX.
I mean, I would hope so if he has 5 kills and 2 assists.
This is true.
He has Nash's Tooth, Oblivion Orb, Blasting Wand. Getting quite big in that mid lane as this is Azir, and of course, doesn't really need to reach late game if he's already getting 2-3 items in the mid game.
That's the thing about the late game potential from this team. They look really good when it comes to their late game competition. For their carries at the least, Sejuani, Zir, Tristana, all of them are strong in that front. For WE, it really does feel like it's just Xayah and the GP. If Xayah GP comes up strong, we're challenging 957 before this game. If he comes out with so much impact in the game, then WE can find victories in their later game.
Yeah, let's kind of hold on to this one because we all know the damage that one big crit barrel can do in a late game team fight onto some squishy targets. But WE are actually just sitting in mid lane right now, looking for a potential collapse onto anyone who pushes forwards. But I feel like this one has been read out by Cool and Crisp as they are sitting at their tower, and WE will just spring out of the bushes like, we were here all along, and push this wave into the mid lane.
Aha. And honestly, you can just keep doing this. Best thing about Taliyah is the fact that you have Weaver's Wall. So anybody walks up for a wave, well, I'm just going to separate you from your own tower. Good calls from them, just from WE to just look towards their own control wards and just to play towards it.
For now in this game, we are just going back to a bit of a farming frenzy. Everyone just finding their lane assignments. Mystic going back to the top lane, soaking up this minion wave, trying to get further ahead. When we took a look at his gold totals, he was actually slightly ahead of LWX, just by a little bit. In the bottom lane, 957 is given the honor of taking Krugs, and he'll go back to the spot lane as well, look for the base. And Gimbian will continue pushing in this lane as Nah. Yeah.
The 957 has enough for an upgrade to his ulti. I wonder which one it's going to be. Usually it seems like it's going to be the true damage one. Either that, the one that increases your the speed and rotations of your ulti. So it's just more damage coming through in these team fights with the GP ulti setup.
Pushing the mid lane once more. Just kind of playing ping pong with the minion waves right now. Next round is going to be Infernal, so both teams will be looking towards that one. But more importantly, Baron is spawning in around 1 minute from now. So we can see there's preemptive wards coming out from WE, just in Pixel Brush and up that river. And FPX will be responding right now with their own wards. Let's take a look at some of the item builds for the AD carries, because 2 items just got completed by Mystic, importantly. And LWX working his way towards his Static Shiv.
Ooh, Phantom Dancer is the call for him. Usually either see Static Shiv or the Runan's Hurricane coming out of the Xayah picks, but this one, he decides it's going to be that dueling.
Engage from Celestial, they blow up Cool. All the extra damage to FPX down the toilet right now. The flank out from 957, how much damage will it do? In comes the Phantom Barrel triple combo. Chris backing away, and he's low, but massive ultimate from Gimgoon. 5-man Nah, but the team isn't there with the backup of the damage. Cool's already dead, Gimgoon down for the count.
It seems like even Gimgoon's team was surprised of the effectiveness of the Gnar ulti, but it really did start from just the burst down onto Cool. Cool did not expect that.
No, they removed the threat in the mid lane. Most of the combat effectiveness is currently on Cool, on his Azir, so get rid of him, win the team fight. WE, man, if Cool was up, they probably all would have died off that 5-man Gnar ultimate.
Oh, 100%. To be fair on that one, WWE wouldn't walk up if it wasn't for that, but you can just really tell that the combination is there for FPX to utilize in these team comps, but WE recognize when they're strong, and they just pull the trigger. So here it is. Cool walking up, putting out auto attacks, focusing on the tower. He gets knocked up because the setup is there from Celestial. So turns in one combination that is so hard to see coming, which is the flash ulti from Celestial, or the ulti flash that is. That's the combination, so it's hard to see it coming. Sure, this is great, but there's not going to be any burst damage that comes through and follow up from the team.
Yeah, LWX thought about it for a second, and it was like, nah, not going to happen. Can't find those resets. So good team fight win from WE in the end. That will result in the mid lane tower going down, outer turret down, and so is all the outer turrets in this game for FPX. Dragon will be spawning in around a minute 30 from now, and cool. Gets his blue buff. So they will be set up for this one. FPX will be able to challenge for the next fight, but for now, WE did manage to find that nice little skirmish in the mid lane and then gain control mostly over top river. It looks like they have one ward down in into the bottom river. In fact, two, one control ward and one normal ward.
Yeah, so the ward's coming through, and it's going to be a game about these neutral objectives. From now on, it's going to be an Infernal Dragon run in 1 minute, or the Baron that's already up. I think FPX want none of this, though, because even though they have the kills, they're considerably behind in the gold charts, and also Cool is sitting on a lot of recipes that he needs to finish up at least one of. He's thinking about Morellonomicons, but I think he should hold off on that front. I want to see, of course, Rabadon's now is double needlessly large rod. I want to see that, but it's interesting to see what he wants to pick up for himself.
Yeah, he's thinking about the direction, but once he turns them all into items, he will be pretty big. 30 seconds left on the dragon counter. Waiting for this one to spawn. Pepper. It's actually on the top side of the map right now, pathing down towards the bottom. We've actually got Gimgoon and 957 just in that lane. Gimgoon's pushing up, and mid lane Celestial doing the same in the mid lane.
That's why FPX want to slow this one down, even though the objectives are going to be coming up, and it allows 957, or at least the entirety of WE, to push the pace of the game. Now that 957 has his 2 items ready, FPX, I mean, they're going to go for it, but I don't know if they want the fight that's coming with it.
They definitely are. Well, the wall comes up, so it's going to limit some of the DPS, but at least Cool can still put up that damage, and the Dragon's already gone. So, WE, if you want the fight, it's going to be on equal grounds, and now FPX just have a little bit of extra AD and AP. Actually, I'm a little bit surprised that WE didn't beat them to the punch there. They didn't really control the area. They'd all bought up pink wards just before that, or control wards. They'd all just gone back to pace and pick them. Yeah. But they didn't place them down.
They all had the setup ready. And the only ones who were really waiting on items was the Xayah waiting for her Infinity Edge. But I think she was strong enough to support the play. Doesn't happen, though, so WE, they were pinging towards Baron, but once again, they're getting run around the map by FPX.
And FPX now with double Infernal Dragon. Be strong in these team fights, strong as they scale into the game. Plus, they managed to take out the outer mid, so we're evened up in turrets. And FPX, there's not too big of a difference in terms of gold either, and especially when you think about the fact that all of the gold is currently on the damage dealer of Cool, they will be fine as they go into the next fight, for certain.
A real issue in terms of ease of execution when it comes to WE. Their composition's so hard to execute around team fights because Mystic, sure, he's going to be the brunt of the damage. And if he has like 4 items, that's great for him. But he's still a short-range AD carry going up against an Azir and Tristana. That doesn't make too much sense for him to be able to find damage unless if he finds an unreasonable setup for himself.
Man, we're getting another Infernal in this game, Raz. They just keep coming.
Yep.
They never stop. Hopefully they have the control of the next one, because triple Infernal will be pretty damning going into this one. We're in a game 3, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. Like, if you lose this game, you're just out of the set.
And it considerably closes the gap. So just to kind of make that picture known, FPX are 5 and 8 right now in the standings, and WE is 7 and 6. FPX are just right behind them for 4th place in the group. So you lose here, WE doesn't immediately lose that standing. It just means that they have to be a lot more cognizant of losing any more games going forward, and they still have to take down, or at least have to face, Snake and Edie.
Yeah, it's a double win for FPX if they take this one here, because it's yes, you get a win, but also you pull WE down. No more wins for you. So
worth 2 points.
Yep, really good for them in their race towards 4th. Or even 3rd, actually. It depends on how Billy Gaming do in the next couple of sets as well on top of that. So WE really need to get this if they want to try and secure 3rd or 4th spot. Depends what they're gunning for right here. But right now they are setting up in this brush. FPX, if anyone steps forward,
oh, no, don't do it.
They're going to die. She wants it, but cool. It's got too much mobility. Shifting sands, hell of an ability.
Yeah, I was just looking towards Chris in that one. Chris was just thinking about it, pacing back and forth whether he wanted to place a ward in that bush. But now that he knows that WE, the entirety of the WE team, is going back and forth.
How many times can they? You can't keep getting away with this.
They just don't have, and this is what sucks. They don't have a single blue trinket. They don't have blue trinket, or at least it's all off right now. Okay, let's go.
Well, Chris was looking for it. Follow up CC as well, but both of them kind of whiff. And FPX don't really feel it.
There we go. I mean, they tried to set one up into the next, so the cleanse didn't really matter, but they still dodged the Sejuani ult.
Yeah.
So that was the play from FPX, is to get the double up so the cleanse or the QSS don't matter. But it's just unfortunate it doesn't work out on the side of FPX.
Yeah, true. They did manage to burn two cleanses though. They got the Celestials and Xie, so they can make that play again when their ultimates come back off cooldown.
That's flash off Pepper. He got caught.
That is flash off Pepper.
It's unfortunate. It's going to be a lot harder for him to contest this now. This is WE's reasoning for this start.
Pepper, he's just got enough range on that blast cone, I think, to jump over the wall. He's feeling it. But engaged by Celestial, knocked back by the Sand Soldiers. Cool, gets flicked once again, but he's not down. He's still good. Baron has been stopped for now by FPX.
I wonder if WE feels confident enough to turn right back on it, just with how low Cool is in terms of HP, and using his heal for that as well. It's actually the Rakan basing here.
Doesn't have flash, doesn't have teleport, doesn't have cleanse.
All right. Seems like they're just trying to reset the situation. Probably confident enough in just that. But it does give Cool the opportunity of basing. So I would have wanted them to press back on towards Baron, just because they still had Magic who could tank it up just a little bit, and it forces Cool in a really bad position where maybe they can burn a flash and then back away. But just burning out his heal, it's not enough.
There is counterplay to the Rakan engaging that we just saw. Cool, if he lands the ultimate at the right time, able to knock back the Rakan. Same with the Buster Shot from LWX. So unless Rakan is able to catch FPX by surprise, there are ways to try and stop his initiation. And FPX were able to execute that one just on the ramp there, heading towards Baron. Yeah,
you have to anticipate it, or at least the flash variation of it. He doesn't have flash anymore, so it's going to be considerably harder for Celestial to use that as an engage tool. They're going for it.
FPX no 957's in the bottom lane without teleport, so they're just going to try and burn it right now. But Cool is actually not outputting damage on this one, so it's kind of a half-hearted burn on this one. Magic is also stepping up, so it's going to turn into a 50-50 if they continue on this. Both tanks are still in the pit for FPX. Gimgun's turned. He has flash if he wants this one. Gets a slow down. Nice double stun onto the carries from Chris. And in comes the Gnar ultimate as well. Gim goes down, however, and WE decaying back, but he have the damage. Gangplank's low, but they flash away. Celestial, he's got the coverage from his team, but Magic and 957 are incredibly low themselves.
Yeah, that was an interesting engage coming out of FPX. They went all in for it just to see if they can get on top of the Xayah. Thing about that is, incredibly safe. Incredibly safe as a champion. So sure, she dies, but that's the only one that dies, and Pepper and Gimgun put their heart out just to try and get that.
It was close for a second. Both teams eye each other down. It was 1-for-2 trade in total, favor of WE, but FPX were looking at that like maybe we can clean this up. We can take a look at that once again.
But take a look at LWX in this position, because they go for it. And LWX is faced with the hard decision of how he joins this one. So sure, this one starts out proper. He's trying to look for the first reset. Flash is over. And so this is why it gets a little bit difficult, because him and Chris are in the same area, makes it so much easier for Talia to zone him off.
But more importantly, off of that play, WE gave them position to move towards this Infernal Dragon right here. They've already started it, it's already down. FPX, can they make a pick happen? Because actually Mystic is far away. Nice side step from Mystic, and also dodge from Celestial. Neither of the engages happened from FPX.
And both of them did not have flash, so Leona getting a pick means so much if they can get it on either Magic or Celestial here, but it whiffs on both. Breath of fresh air from WE, the fact that they don't get to face an FPX with triple Infernal.
FPX are moving through the river right now. WE setting up a death brush, hoping that squishy target comes near. They'll also take Pepper as well, because he just explodes. I'm not even sure there was a Sejuani there a couple seconds ago. Crisp also hits the dust. 2 kills to WE. The tank line is dead.
Yeah, this is when you have to think this through if you're FPX. Oh, wait a minute!
LWX catches Xie off the wall. Get out of there!
The Kembe Matumbo, man. This guy actually slapped him off while he was riding high. I was thinking that there had to be another way for FPX to get anything off of this, but they're getting free picks.
Whoa, Celestial, he's going deep. He's looking for another engage. It's happened too many times now. The FPX are wary to their tactics.
This is insane. All right, so that looked like it was going to be a free Baron coming out of WE. And the only reason it didn't, because Xie tried to be in an awkward position to wall them off from the objective. Could have done that a little earlier on, or at least later on. In fact, could have held onto it, just so they can try and chase the enemy team down. This was surprising. Completely bursted down. Remember, it's a Rabadon's Death Cap Talia. 2 picks, 3 picks. Move towards Baron, and then take a look at Xie. In vision when he's going for it.
Hey, get down from there.
Get out of here. And by the way, I think WE just took Baron. Wait, no!
FPX have Baron. Okay, we're going to need a replay on that replay. Because that doesn't just happen and then we just say, yeah, FPX, they just picked up the Baron, the biggest objective in the game right now.
My biggest fear. This is what I get nightmares when it comes down to replays, man. I have nightmares about replays.
You wake up in cold sweats?
I've been in these LGD games, newbie games, where you get replay into replay after replay into replay because they know as a team, and this is Jing Dong as well, I'm looking at you, Jing Dong, that they just constantly fight. So obviously you get a recap for those fights, but you can't because the next fight's happening, and it's just an inception of fights. So yeah, I would like a replay on that, but I think it wasn't that crazy. WE had the base, they had death timers going. FPX had sooner death timers, so they were back on the map faster, and they just rushed the Baron because of it.
So you're telling me that FPX just did the same thing as game 1 and just snuck the Baron?
It wasn't snucking. Okay, but in this case...
Snuck is not a word, Raz.
I used it. It's a word now. But FPX were on the Baron just because W as a team lost out Xie. So the moment you lose Xie, you lost your carry. How are you going to contest the Baron with that? So maybe they could have, but still would have lost that fight.
I just don't know if W were there or not, whether they're watching or whether they were at base.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Regardless, FPX have it. Well, what does that mean now? Well, it means that they can shove up the mid lane and they can try and get the siege to happen. Luckily, WE did manage to get one of those Infernals, so FPX can't be like, well, we have just massive combat stats over you, but the siege will come in. Actually, do they have any banners? I actually don't think I saw anyone build one. No, they actually don't, so it will be harder just to set up shop.
They still do need a cannon wave, regardless if it's bannered or not. That wave was an unlucky one. No cannon on that one, so they had to escort this one, be the Shepherd, speed it up, so it finally does end up crashing here. Thankfully, they decided to bring Gimgoon to the side lane as well.
Yeah, it's not going to be a Marin build. He's just going to go for the standard Frozen Mallet, Black Cleaver.
This is what you like to see. He's going to join team fights. We've already seen him have a phenomenal Mega Gnar. So this is a real worry for WE that this Gnar is going to find you in a flank.
LWX almost getting caught out, but it was a great Glacial Prison from Pepper, saving the life of his AD carry. Gnar pushing in the bottom lane, he's still going, and no one is responding just yet. 957 is now rotating, but WE have already lost 2 towers off of this one.
That is a big wave. Thankfully, 957 has the AoE to deal with it, but...
Yeah, 957's here, he's able to respond, but FPX are actually just tearing WE apart right now, dragging them across the map. Cool rotates to the mid lane, knocks it over, and it's now only the inhibitor line that remains.
This is where it really counts for WE. They do not want to lose the inhibitor power. They lose that, and they lose so much control of the bottom and top lane inhibitor because you can just flank through the mid lane. Mid lane means so much, so WE have to make a stand now.
FPX pushing in. There's the wall, splitting up the team. Forces LWX back just a smidgen. Just kidding, he's actually just going to walk up to the tower by himself and feel completely safe. Not punished by WE, and that's the inhibitor line cracked.
CA took so much damage, and I didn't even see who hit him. It was definitely one static shock, one static shift proc. I don't know what else did it. Yeah, maybe the Azir.
Well, LWX was on the left side, Cool was on the right, and there were 2 damage dealers on FPX. So I'm making the deduction here that it's most likely Cool.
Nobody could have done it.
Who was the perpetrator? Who was it? Hands up. Was it you, Pepper?
I'm looking at him. Technically, Sejuani's hands are always up. At least one of them.
You're not wrong. You're definitely not wrong, Raz. Good analysis.
There we go.
Oh, FPX got a lot from that push. Triple inner towers and an inhibitor tower. Exposed mid lane. Inhib now. Next dragon's going to be Mountain. So FPX would definitely like to add that one to the arsenal.
Yeah, this is a rough one. I think FPX should stop playing around these large areas for teamfights, make it a little bit more controlled. So sure, yeah, Elder Dragon later on, but the Earth Dragon now means a lot, but it means more to WE because it does set the stage that feels like, A, it's far away from their own base, but it's more controlled. They can choose the flanks in which they want. So they're going to go for it now, and it's only good because no WE member is anywhere nearby.
We're actually 3 minutes off having an extra dragon here. They took it just a little bit too fast, so the next Elder Dragon will be spawning a ways away, far off into the distance, into the 40-minute marks of the game. But FPX have 4 dragons now, so they would benefit massively from the Elder Dragon. Yeah, and LGX is scaled.
Yeah, look at this. LWX has his Bloodthirster ready for himself now, so he is pretty massive as an AD carry. Going to be having a lot of sustain for himself, which we've known Mystic to have when he goes towards these Xayah picks.
Yep.
Last items, usually the Bloodthirster. He's got a QSS now just because he does have to worry about the Sejuani ults that's been thrown his way. But yeah, that just means that technically LWX is a little bit tanky, you know? Gonna have a shield for himself. He can jump in, and he has the sustain to keep up.
This is almost the perfect champion for LWX. We call him the shotgun in the LPL because the guy likes to go melee range as AD carry, but
run!
It's almost perfect. Gimgoon.
Wait.
He's out.
That wasn't Gimgoon's auto attack that got him to safety.
I don't think it was, no.
It was definitely CA's.
He's paid someone off. But yeah, LWX can jump in with Tristana, and he can get out again. That's my biggest problem with LWX, is because he'll jump in, but he'll be Caitlyn. And then he's like, well, I have no way out.
Oh!
Whoa, that connected? Okay, well, he didn't get the lockdown. It wasn't quite so slick. That wasn't a true combo.
That was sick. Alright, this is where it gets rough for WE at this point in time. Just because, yeah, there's other than that nonsense, Baron is going to be a primary focus for the team. And Nars didn't even have to blow his flash in the last time he was getting caught out. So you can actually just rinse and repeat towards the bottom side of the map.
They can change up tactics here. 30 seconds left on the Baron. Will be still a while on Elder Dragon, for sure. And FPX will go back to base on this one, spend some of that gold. We're approaching pretty much full items for a lot of people, actually. What if you include control wards? People are pretty big. You just have to start factoring in the percentage values from the Infernal Dragons as well that teams will have.
Yep. So also when you kind of take into account crit builds are starting to come through from GPs. The usual GP build doesn't require crit until the later portions of the game. Now that he does have it, the squishies of the enemy team might have to watch out for these barrels. 957's barrel placements have been phenomenal this game, so you gotta have to watch out for it in these longer lanes, pretty much.
Yeah, props to 957. We said we wanted to see more out of him from this game, and he definitely has delivered. Still thinking back to that Phantom combo in the mid lane was pretty great.
Excellent stuff.
And now WE just trying to defend this ramp, coming up to... ooh! That was like the hind leg of Bristle right there. That got caught on the flick.
It definitely flicked her tail.
Yeah. We're all good, but FPX not going to be losing Pepper on this one. We know even the tank line will just instantly fall to the amount of damage that WE have. We saw that a couple minutes ago, in fact.
All eyes on Talia for her Weaver's Wall and her Flick, doing tons of damage onto Sejuani the last time around. Sejuani doesn't fully have magic resist just yet, waiting on her adaptive helm. So at this point in time, they can still repeat the same gimmick, but they lost control of the Baron area now.
Yeah, the issue really, well, for FPX was the fact they had no real vision there. They weren't able to push into W, but now they've just kind of been allowed to move towards the Baron, to sweep through, clear all the wards out, and also place down their own.
Yeah, it's just the case of mid lane control. Actually, at this point, FPX are in a difficult position. They don't have mid lane control. They're going for the fight.
Kua's behind, slow down onto 3. Mystic took a bit of damage there. Kua's being chased out, but he is Azir. I think he's probably going to be okay.
We'll see about that. He's okay.
Yeah, just singed the tail feathers, but he's okay.
But this is awkward positioning from FPX because they conceded the mid lane pressure that they had before, which allowed them to get the Baron positioning to go top side, which they had to go for that play if they wanted to get a fight and to concede, well, find themselves back in mid. So that was interesting. It could have turned into a proper fight, but WE had the high ground in that one.
There is an issue on the horizon, though. There is a big minion wave mounting in the bottom lane that will be needed to... someone needs to attend it. 957 is already on his way, so it's a window here where FPX could move towards the Baron, but...
Yeah, right now, WE don't exactly know if they should stick around or base. 3 people are channeling base timings right now on top side. but they decided they needed to be there, especially if GP was on the bottom side of the map. So they might just try and play this game to start off the Baron. FPX in it.
They'll give it a go. It's already dropping very quickly. The damage out from the Zero and Tristana is huge. Chris jumps into the backline. He's down onto Mystic. Turns it around, flashes away. And she right into the middle of the fight by himself. LWX, he jumps in deep, assassinates the enemy AD carry. And Gimbun over the wall, lands the wallop in a two-man duo right now from FPX. That is raining havoc over Team WE. Knocks away 957. He's going to live another day. But Magic, he's been routed. Celestial caught out by Pepper and Cool. He jumps over the wall of the grand entrance, but he's going to try and make it out of here. Shifting sands over the wall, and Cool, he wants this guy dead. The soldiers want him dead too.
These are pretty long death timers, 32 seconds, 44 seconds. These are long enough to look for an inhibitor turret, if not more. They're going to be going towards the top lane. This could mean actually both top lane inhib and mid lane inhib.
I mean, it's taking such a long time for 957 to find his recall. Yeah, they are killing towers very quickly, Raz. They even have the extra Mountain Dragon, and they have 4 members alive. 20 seconds left on many of the death times from Team WE. They are going for it, indeed. Jumping on top of 957, he flashes over as the Nexus, but they're just focusing down on the Nexus turret. On the Nexus, just rush it down, FPX. You've done it. You've taken down WE.
His debut on the team, Cool comes back, impresses the crowd, and takes the first victory in a long time for FPX. They've been on a long losing streak. Losing to RNG, Suning Gaming, Rogue Warriors, I mean, those were heavy hitters. And they decided, coming back to their own group, they needed to up their arsenal. And they finally come back strong and take that win versus WE.
Wow. Well, I guess the training arc is complete. They finished up cross-conference, they got good, and they came back into their own conference and just took down a world semi-finalist team in the form of Team WE. And FPX, they are very much a playoffs contender right now as they take down someone who's probably going to be challenging them over their 4th spot, Team WE. And FPX, they've grown so much over the last couple of weeks. Honestly impressive.
The next 2 days are going to be pretty, or at least this week in general for WE, is their most important week. Now they lost to FPX. Their next set's going to be up against BLG in day 4. So stay tuned for that. That's coming up on Friday. The fact that now, if they lose both of these sets, BLG finds safety in a sense. They've kind of kicked WE down, and they can move up into the 3rd place position. Sure, barring other wins that come through, but it looks really good for them. So WE, taking a loss here is massive. They need to take the victory versus BLG in day 4.
And again, props to Cool right there. A little wave to the crowd. Lots of fans in the audience. He's not a rapper, but he's a damn good mid laner.
Hell yeah. That's all I got to say. The man made a statement today. Yes, he wasn't a rapper, but damn, he's looking good. Rise picks, phenomenal. Azir at the end of it, and it comes down to the team playing well around it too. By the way, just adding one player is not just an addition in terms of skill, but also to the communication for the team. And a lot of these flanks that we were seeing, supporting the plays that Gimbun was going for, a lot of it was Cool being added to it. A lot of the control around mid lane, a lot of it was the patience and communication between both Cool and Pepper. So kudos to them. They made a big pickup here.
I will say that the growth that FPX have made of the team has been exponential over the last couple of weeks, because a long storyline for the team was just like, well, they're getting incrementally better, we can see it, but they can never really get out of the early game to the point where like they have definitively made the same strides as like an RW, right, who have really looked better from week to week, but then they just kind of really got good very quickly. Added in Core, it seems to be another special ingredient into the mix. And now FPX look like a very strong contender.
Yep, core to the lineup. So I really want to see what Cool can do going into these future sets. The next one's going to be going up against OMG in the next week, actually. They get it feels like this team gets a week off on that one. So I want to see what they can do going up against OMG. It should be a freebie for them, but we get to see if they are a much better team than they were previously.
Exactly. To try and beat some of the teams around them in the standings currently. Well, good stuff from Team FPX. See if they can do more in the next couple of weeks. For now, though, we are going to send it over to the analyst desk.
Thank you, gentlemen, and great cast on the day. Now, Rusty, I gotta be real. I'm in the hosting position. If I was in your chair, I might go a little bit harder. So I'm just gonna softball this one to you. At what point do we stop beating the dead horse that Team WE are world semi-finalist team? Because that roster looks very, very different from any team that was in a semifinals.
Yeah, look, we don't know where Condi is, so I don't know if Condi comes back, maybe we bring her back. I do think that after a defeat to FunPlus Phoenix, being in week 8 of a split as well, and showing that they've committed to this new roster, yes, we don't say that they're a semi-finalist team anymore. We say that they're a team struggling in the spring split of the LPL, a team that just lost to someone who's gunning for their exact position in the standings, and a team that does not look consistent at all. I don't think we call them a semi-finalist team compared to what they were, but we could still compare them to what they were, which is a lot better.
And so how do you fix that? I mean, the thing is we keep seeing these late game scaling compositions, and anytime you see Team W grab that, you kind of almost do a sigh of relief, like, oh yes, finally, they're going to play something that they actually know how to play. But now it's, you know, the same old one-trick composition from a team with downgrades in key positions and individual performance inconsistencies from supposedly their stars. You know, Mystic was very up and down this series.
Is it sad that the answer is still Condi? Like, no matter what I say, the answer still feels like they pick an early game composition because they suck at early game, so they want to cover that fact up. They put some makeup on themselves, and like, we don't want to see where we suck at it. And they still lose in the early games, so they decide to pick late game. And they actually do well in the early game for no particular reason. In that game, they get late game. And this time around, it's a similar mantra where they wanted to hit late game, but they still wanted to have some strengths in the early game. And the third game for them was still a little bit of a mess. Yet they started stronger and got outscaled this time around. It's just none of it really feels cohesive. They don't have one defined weakness. They just have a coupling of them that keep showing here and there.
And a lot of that credit of outscaling does have to go to Cool on that Azir. He was phenomenal at pretty much every stage in this game, especially the early and mid game. Yeah, he took his backseat, let LWX carry and Pepper carry a lot of those portions of the late game, but early roams. Look at that, level 8 in the bottom.
Of course, I mean, he was able to pass the torch for carrying later on in the game, as you would want to hope as well. He just had to contribute damage, and he did exactly that. But through the early game, Cool was a man on a mission. He proved that he wanted to win. He showed it as well with his movements around the map. You mentioned the roaming. He did exactly that effectively. No one saw that game going, we're looking at Cool.
It's a high wall.
Don't worry, we're still looking at Cool. He'll get the kill at the end. Big distraction, cleanse your palette. It was good from him. I actually didn't expect that from Cool. Remember, this is his first set back in the LPL in a significant amount of time off since August, I think it was, of last year or something.
Yeah, but it's so refreshing to see Cool finally step back on this. You know, go from OMG, you leave your historic organization, you then go to LGD. That was probably a terrible decision.
Nothing happened.
You end up on Newbie, you continue to just kind of flail, and Cool was supposed to be this godfather of the mid lane. You know, back in 2013, looking across from Faker, Faker wasn't Faker then. It was the best of China versus this upcoming from Korea, and then Faker made a statement, slammed Cool down, and since then, Cool's just been on this downward trajectory. So to see him come back and to have this moment feels good.
It definitely does. I mean, we saw him spiral. We all had to sit here every single week of the LPL and watch him slowly go down that rabbit hole, and it was feeling really tragic for Cool. But the fact that he comes back, and from what we can even see just looking at the stage as well, the player cameras, he's active, he's vocal, he's communicating, and then to be able to play, to go 5-0 against Team W, against Xie, who is actually the best player in the mid lane at the moment, evidently perhaps not.
And of course, that means that Cool will take the man of the match. So what, double MVP in this series? Took one in game number 1, took it in game number 2, and FPX, you may have found the secret formula for playoffs.
It does feel like having that calm communicator in the middle lane does seem to be the difference.
I don't know if he looks calm when he's communicating.
All right, cool. Calm mechanics, strong he was yelling. He's not calm. He's still a communicator.
He is very loud.
Yeah, he was yelling a lot. But the fact that he can communicate, I think, does seem to be that secret ingredient that's helping. And we mentioned this, we didn't get a full chance to talk about it. I would attribute the 2v2 jungle mid duo as a massive upgrade for them. Not just Cool being there, but how Cool can help to control Pepper.
Yeah, there was a previous discussion that we wanted to hit on, this idea that Pepper, formerly known as Yihan of RNG, you know, the only other mid laner that he's played with is Xiaohu, and Xiaohu does have this reputation of being a puppet master.
Exactly. Xiaohu said in interviews that he talks a lot more when he is with MLXG because he is the puppet master, tells him where to be. Then you got Kasa, Xiaohu can talk less, but the point remains that he talks a lot, he communicates a lot as a mid laner, and the jungler, perhaps Yihan, got his foot down, got his feet There you go. He played a lot with someone that was communicating them. I'm losing words. Anyway, to come over to this team.
Xiao Hu used to train Pepper, now Pepper's used to someone controlling him, and so if Cool's being so dominant with the veteranship, then suddenly Pepper is looking better. Did I get it?
Yeah, you've done this before.
Pepper and Cool, good duo.
Yeah, they are.
That said, we do have to look ahead at the rest of the week because while the English broadcast usually doesn't broadcast on Tuesday and Wednesday, we're actually doing a special broadcast this week. As we get closer to playoffs, we're identifying key matchups that we think the viewers want to see and are important to playoff implications. Sorry, now you cursed me.
It's all right. You got it.
So this Wednesday, we will be doing a special broadcast of the second series, that is Edward Gaming versus Snake Esports in Chongqing. Now, we are only casting the second series that night.
Yeah, and this is a big one. It's one that we have to cast. It's one that you can't miss. And again, these teams are tied on the standings. They're fighting for first place in their group, and this is a very big deal, and it is one that you do not want to miss.
Okay, but let's take a look at the standings. My producer's like, please get the words out of your mouth correctly this time around. So, these are the standings. We are in the final sprint before playoffs. 12 teams from the West Conference are already starting their trip towards MSI. Korea has 7 days left. We have 6 series, and this is what it looks like.
This is a very tight standings race. We mentioned the Wednesday game between Snake and EDG. You can see that on the left, the Western Conference. Very hard to actually work out who is going to be where. And the end of today as well, that's even harder to define given that FPX just beat Team WE. That makes things a little bit more difficult.
And reminder, for those of you who don't know how the LPL playoff gauntlet system works, it is a King of the Hill style gauntlet, very similar to the LCK, so every single position on the ladder matters. If you finish in first place, you are guaranteed a spot into the semifinals, which means you are 2 best-of-5s away from taking the MSI ticket.
Yeah, and you want to finish second, not third as well, because then you can avoid that first place team in your own group, so things get very important when you get towards the end of the split.
And of course what that means is it's a very interesting race for RNG in particular, because it feels like Rogue Warriors and ING are just a little bit too far out of reach.
Yeah, that's true. They have to try and catch teams that aren't losing at the moment. So RNG, I mean, they still hold the destiny in their own hands, to be fair. They can beat them.
They couldn't beat them. But with that said, we are going to have to sign off tonight. So for our North American fans, good morning. To our European fans, good afternoon. And from us in Shanghai, good night.